Alright guys, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm just waiting for the live stream to sync up a little bit. So, hey there Nocturnals, I'll make this quick before my capture card dies and I lose my webcam. But basically today what I want to do is a quick tutorial to show you how you can grungify or sort of dirty up your footage in After Effects. We live in the 4K generation and that's fine, except unless you want things to look a little bit older and aged. So without further ado, stand by and we'll jump into After Effects and get into it. Alright, so let's start off by importing our footage. Just close this down. So what I want is I'm going to go grab some nice 4K footage that I filmed earlier this week. Let's go into, where are we? So 2018, I think I shot it. Let me just find this footage. Shot on the 2nd, so 3rd of 2nd. Here it is. All right. Let's use, I think this is the one. There we go. Now to create a new composition from the footage, we just drag it into this little icon here, like that. Here it is. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to make it black and white footage. So I'm going to add an adjustment layer on top of this. So go into Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. Now we're going to desaturate it. So let's go into Effect and go into Color Correction, into Color Balance HLS, which is Hue, Luminescence and Saturation. Oh, sorry, hue, Lightness and Saturation. And we're going to take the saturation right down. We'll just leave a little bit of color so this just looks like it's aged film. Now, this is the really interesting part. We're going to use some open source footage to create this aged effect. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add my sort of graininess to it. So let's go and import the files. I'll just go into Dropbox, into my vlogs. And I've downloaded some open source grungy sort of backgrounds here. So we're going to grab this grunge texture, and this time around I'm going to grab this photo borders one. Both of these are open source files that you can get for free on YouTube if you do a Google search for them. There it is. So if you drag that into this layer, you can see it there, and we'll resize it so it's the right size for our composition. There you have it there. Now, this is the easy part. Click onto the graphic there, and then if you right click, go into blending mode, that'll bring up these other settings, go to overlay, and there you have it. That's created that kind of aged effect. Now, if we don't want it to be quite so intense, we go into transform and then just reduce the opacity. Like that. So there we go. So now I want to create a torn edged kind of effect. So I'm going to go ahead and use this other image here. Ideally, I kind of want it to be grayscale, but for now, let's just drag it in and see how we go. So there it is. So let's resize it again for our composition. Cool. Now, same as before, right click on it, go into blending mode and select overlay. And there it's starting to happen for us. But before we get into that, if you go into the effect controls for this, what I really want to do is, like I say, ideally it should be grayscale. So if we go again, effect, color correction, and I'm just going to select black and white. And there you go, it's instantly turned it into grayscale for us. So now we can sort of go through the animation in any stage. You can see that it's created this lovely aged kind of film effect for us. And the same as before, if I go into the transform, into the opacity settings and reduce that, it changes the amount of the effect of the overlay. So there you have it. That's basically it. It's really quick system. It's the same sort of effect that you might have used, say, in Adobe Photoshop or something like that. And it's a nice way of changing your 4K footage or your full HD footage and making it look a little bit grainy and grungy. After you've done that, while you've got the composition selected, go into composition, add to render queue, select your output folder. So we're in vlogs on 3rd of the 2nd, and I'm going to call this front cam, black and white, grungy. Now I've got Blackmagic installed, so I'm going to choose a codec. In the format options, choose a codec. In video codec, you could use DVPAL. I'm using Blackmagic. Go OK. OK. And we'll just render part of it so I can show you what the final look is like. And sorry, I sort of rushed through that. See, this is the length of your composition here. You can change it in two ways. You can right click on it and go composition settings, or you can, and there you've got the duration there. Full duration is 57 seconds. Or you can change it here. And I'm changing it here. So it's just a few seconds. Let's make it 5 seconds so you can see how things are going. Go back to the render queue. We've got all the output settings set nicely, and render.